If you'd like to support my channel, consider checking out my Patreon or my Spreadshirt. For the price of $5, you can get early access to many of my videos. Check it out if you're able. Thanks. Link in the description. Hello, lords and ladies. Welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon.
Thanks. I don't mean to judge, but you know you could have just created a web fan and made a wind cushion from the helicopter's air pressure, right?
Honestly, I feel like this scene here is the root of some of my problems with the show. It's just kind of a dumb line. It's only 3 minutes into the episode and I mentally rolled my eyes and wanted to quit watching right here. I'm not saying Gwen can't be smart, but exactly how does constantly showing up Peter with various other smart characters make for an interesting cartoon? Again, I'm totally fine with a smart Gwen. We got one in Spectacular Spider-Man and she was pretty great. But she didn't one-up Peter or Spider-Man, advising him on how he does his job as Spider-Man. You know who corrects their rescuers? Jerks. Gwen's not even the only character to do so, otherwise it'd just be a nitpick at this point. The intense focus on science is cool, and I appreciate it for the new story possibilities it'll bring with Peter. But does everyone need to be as smart as Peter and spout science left and right? It's kind of annoying. One or two smart characters is fine, but Peter should really be the main focus in my opinion. He can't even take out villains by himself, as this marks the third outing that others have needed to give him advice on how to do things that he should rightfully figure out himself. Now, I'm not arguing for a nigh omnipotent Batman-like Spider-Man here. I'm asking for Peter to work things out as a smart, intelligent young man. In the comics, Peter could figure out this all on his own, most of the time, only needing help with certain villains. What I mean is, he'd get his ass handed to him at first, then figure out what he'd need to do to take someone down. The best example of this is actually in this episode. To help him deal with Shocker's weapon, he webs himself up to lessen the shock. That's the Spider-Man fans love. But the show seems to want to give Peter help in the form of civilian assists, and I think that doesn't work well. He's not learning how to stop villains by himself in this show. He has to have others give him tips, because now everyone is a genius and knows how to use his powers better than he does. It's far too much like Dan Slott's Spider-Man, which has been criticized by fans for making the character seem like an idiot who can't do anything without someone else there besides him. Which is silly given how long he has operated as a solo hero. At least Gwen's general appearance is appealing, though if you look at her outfit you can see it subtly, or not so subtly, hinting at her future as Spider-Gwen, and I kinda hate that. Well, I in general don't like the idea of her becoming Spider-Woman in this show. Couldn't we have normal Gwen and alternate Gwen just show up from time to time? The reason I feel this way is because I just don't like Gwen as Spider-Woman. The comic, it's lackluster, and the only time it was slightly fun was in Ultimate Spider-Man, and I've already said my piece on that show. Maybe this show will do better, but I just prefer we stuck with Gwen for now. And hopefully the writers take a page from Spectacular on how to write a smart Gwen, because this episode does not inspire confidence. Let's move on though. The actual conflict of this episode is not much better than what I was just harping on. First off, we get the Jackal. Awesome, the Jackal's cool. I love his design and his voice. I don't love how he's just randomly a supervillain operating prior to meeting Spider-Man. He's not a career criminal, he's a scientist who falls in love with Gwen and then clones her. Now he's written as wanting revenge on Osborn, related to Gwen, and transforms into the Jackal a la Dr. Jekyll. At least this episode actually hints at some backstory or setup to Jackal, but so far the villains just show up and there's no story behind that. Now some of you have taken this to mean I want a typical villain of the week plot, but I have no idea how anyone reached that conclusion. My point in saying this was that the villains basically just clash with Spider-Man with no real insight into their characters. The only one we really got to know about was Vulture, and that's barely. What was Scorpion up to? What is Jackal doing? No idea, because apparently they only serve to stir up drama in Peter's life. That's all fine and whatnot, but the villains play a major role in any Spider-Man story. They shouldn't just be there as fluff. That's not me wanting villain of the week, that's me wanting the villains to be developed beyond a weak plot device. Speaking of plot devices, even Shocker and Clash show up, but are now teenagers? I don't even know what to say to that. It's not even them being teens That's the problem here. If they were written better, I could have gotten on board. But them turning on each other was so terribly written, it's a joke. It took one little thing, one little spark, and they went at each other. It made no sense. For two close friends, they sure were quick to attack each other, and almost destroy Osborn Academy along with innocent bystanders. It doesn't make sense because we're just introduced to them. We get no insight into the characters beyond how close friends they are. If you're gonna have them turn on each other, sow some seeds of jealousy or distrust before you do so. That's all I mean. Harry's hate for Spider-Man really doesn't gel either. It could have, but it's based on something so non-existent, it's stupid. If you want Harry to distrust Spider-Man, give him something beyond, oh, he showed up at that one thing, and maybe he had something to do with me being expelled. He doesn't grow to distrust Spidey because he was pulling a bomb out of his bag. No, the distrust got sown before that even. And that's why I think it's weak. Give Harry a real reason. You know why movie Harry hated Spider-Man? Because he found him standing over his dead father. Now there's a real reason. And before someone starts being obtuse in the comments, no, I am not saying kill Norman. I'm trying so hard, guys. You have no idea. It may seem like I'm just hating to hate. After Ultimate Spider-Man, I want to love the show. I just want to have a fun, exciting, well-written, and animated Spider-Man cartoon. I am doing my absolute best to give it a fair shot, but every turn I keep being blindsided with mediocre storytelling and odd choices. The show's decisions just make me cringe so badly. Now, what was even good about this episode? I don't know. The Jackal, maybe? Whatever story might come from Gwen's uncle being a bad guy? But even that's attached to things I really dislike, so who knows? Like, why is he now Raymond Warren? You know who that is? That's Miles Warren's brother from the comics. In the comics, Jackal is Miles. Why did they change it? If you're gonna change it, at least have a reason. Maybe the change happened because making the dude who wanted to bang Gwen and her clones her uncle would kind of be creepy. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but the decision to have Gwen's uncle be a villain seems pretty close to the plotline of the new Spider-Man movie. If this is going to be what I have to expect from the series, I'm going to start dreading watching it. Okay, I'm done for now. Just tell me what you thought. Thanks for watching, and take care.